Hi everyone. We are going to solve more questions on geometric series today. The questions are going to be moderately difficult. And these are the three main formulas that I'll be using throughout the whole video. So let's start. The first question, a hydraulic hammer drives a metal post vertically into the ground by striking the top of the post. The distance that the post is driven into the ground by the nth strike of the hammer is dn. The distances form a geometric sequence. So we already know that this is a geometric sequence. The distance that the post is driven into the ground by the first strike of the hammer, d1, is 64 centimeter. It means our first term is 64 centimeter. I'm going to write u1 equals to 64 centimeter. The distance that the post is driven into the ground by the second strike of the hammer, d2, is 48 centimeter. It means the second term, u2, is 48 centimeter. The question is, we have to find the common ratio for this sequence. It's easy because I know my first term, I know my second term. All you need to do is just divide this term, the second term, by the previous term, which is 64 centimeter. R equals to 48 over 64. This will give me 0.75. Find the distance that the post is driven into the ground by the 8th strike of the hammer. That means the n is 8 in this case, and we have to find the distance. The distance, these are the terms. That means they want us to find the 8th term of the sequence. U of 8 equals to u1 is 64 centimeter, times the common ratio 0.75 to the power of n minus 1. N is 8, so I'm just going to write 7. If I put it in the calculator, I will get 8.54296 centimeter. But always write your answers in three significant figures. For this number, 8.54, I'm just going to take the first three terms. I'm not going to change the 4 because the term after it is less than 5. When it's less than 5, we just leave it like that. My answer is going to be 8.54 because its distance, the unit is going to be centimeter. 1c, we have to find the total depth. Total means the sum, always. That the post has been driven into the ground after 10 strikes of the hammer. That means we need to find the sum of the first 10 terms of this series. S of 10 equals to u1, it's 64. 1 minus r to the power of n. R is 0.75 and n is 10, divided by 1 minus 0.75. I'm just going to put it in the calculator. I will get 241.58 something. I'm just going to take the first three terms. It will give me 242 centimeter. That's all for number 1. Let's move to question number 2. This question is about a biologist. This person is growing a culture of bacteria in a lab. She counts the number of bacteria in a dish every 6 hours. This is important. I'm just going to highlight it, every 6 hours. So this is her result, or his result. Time 0, 125. When the time is 6 hours, after every 6 hours, the number of bacteria is 350, 12, 980, and when it's 18, it's 2744. We have to create a general formula to model the number of bacteria at any given time. Like I told you before, whenever you see this general formula, that means you have to find the nth term of the series. You're going to use the formula for the nth term, but instead of writing any number for n, you are just going to use n, and you are going to use the answers of the first term and the common ratio. You just don't use any value for n, you just leave it like that. So for this for this geometric sequence, I'm just going to write u of n equals to. By the way, how do you know it's a geometric sequence? You have to check it first. If you take any term, let's say 350, and if you divide it by 125, you will get 2.8. If you divide 980 over 350, you will also get 2.8. So that means my common ratio for this is constant, which is 2.8, and this is a geometric series. So I'm just going to use this formula. U of n equals to the first term, which is 125. R is 2.8 to the power of, instead of n minus 1, I'm just going to use t, because it says to model the number of bacteria at any given time. But when you find a general formula like this, when you have a model of your own, you need to mention what these things mean. So instead of un, I'm just going to write n. And instead of n minus 1, I'm going to write t. In this case, my n is the number of bacteria at a given time, number of bacteria, and t is every 6 hour, actually, let me just erase this, 6 hours period, every 6 hours. So this is what t means. Always make sure that you mention what these things mean. For B, use your general formula to predict the number of bacteria at the end of the second day. In one day, we have 24 hours. At the end of the second day, it means this second day, for 2 days. If one day is 24 hours, 2 days is going to be 24 times 2. That is actually 48 hours. But because this t is for every 6 hours, you need to find what this t is. So you have to divide the total number of hours by 6, because you are counting the number of bacteria every 6 hours. 48 over 6 will give you 8. That means t is 8. Now we have to use this thing to find the number of bacteria at the end of the second day. I'm just going to use this thing that I found in A. N equals to 1.25 times the common ratio 2.8. Instead of t, I'm going to write 8. If you put it in the calculator, you will get something like 47252.4979. Okay, this is how to convert this in 3 significant figures. I'm just going to take the first 3 numbers, 4, 7, 2, and make the rest of the thing 0, 1, 2, 3. This is how you write a large number in 3 significant figures. Some students, when they change this to 3 significant figures, they just don't write zeros for it. So you are changing the value, and you can't do that, because 472, and there is a big difference between 472 and this number. So you have to use zeros for the other numbers that you have. You're just going to take the first 3 numbers, and for the rest of the digits, you're just going to use 0. Now this is important. This is a very common type of question in IB. Determine when the number of bacteria will exceed 250,000. Okay, let me form an equation with that first. This is my equation to find the number of bacteria. I'm just going to write it. 1.25, 2.8 to the power of t. This will exceed this. Whenever you have questions like this, you have to set up the equation, and you have to find the n, or the t in this case. To solve questions like this, you need to use log. I will make videos of log later on, not now. So if you know what this log is, you can just solve it by yourself. And if you don't know, I'm going to explain it, but I will explain it in details later on, not now. So if you want to find this t, you need to get rid of this. I need to make this the subject and move everything to the other side. So if you divide 250,000 by 1.25, you will get 20,000. I'm going to have 2.8 to the power of t is greater than 20,000. This is where you use the log. You add log both sides. I'm going to write log of 2.8 to the power of t is greater than log of 20,000. So then whenever you have a power in the log, the rule is to move this to the front. I'm going to write T of log 2.8 is greater than log of 20,000. Then divide this log of 20,000 by log of 2.8. You will get something around 7.3822. But remember, this is for every 6 hours. So if you want to find the total number of hours, you need to multiply this by 6. If you do that, you will get something around 44.3 hours. If you want, you can also convert it to days, but if you leave it like that, that's also fine. No problem. Okay, the last question for the day. Now, this is a mix of arithmetic and geometric sequence. This is also a very common type of questions. You will see this a lot where they connect arithmetic and geometric series. So I wanted to show you one example with that as well. This question is about two people. They started to work at the same company on the same day. They have a salary of 8,000 euros during the first year of employment. The company gives them a salary increase following the completion of each year of employment. Antonio is paid using Plan A. Barbara is paid using Plan B. In Plan A, the annual salary increases by 450 euros each year. So they have different plans. Plan A is to increase by a constant term. That means this is an arithmetic series. For Plan B, this is for Barbara, the annual salary increases by 5% each year. It's increasing by a ratio. That means this is geometric series. Okay, now let's calculate. Number 1, you have to find Antonio's annual salary during his second year of employment. That means we have to find the second term for Antonio. The first year they have this salary, 8,000 euros. Because it's an arithmetic series, you are going to have this number added to your salary every year. So I'm just going to write 8,000 plus 450 because it's just the next year. And this equals to 8,450 euros. For Barbara, annual salary during her second year. So in the first year, she also had 8,000, but it increased 5%. Now, increased 5%, percentage is percentages out of 100. So if you have an increase of 5%, that means it's 105%. 105 over 100 will give you 1.05. Some students just use 0.05. This will not give you the correct answer. So make sure you use, if there is a percentage increase, you add it to 100 and then divide it by 100. So 8,000 times 1.05 will give you 8,400 euro. Okay, you can see in the second year, Antonio's salary is more than Barbara. But let's see what happens as the number of years increase. Okay, next question. Write down an expression. Again, expression, general term, nth term, it all means the same thing. You have to find the UN. You substitute the first term and the common ratio for geometry sequence, and first term and the common difference for arithmetic series. But you don't substitute anything for n. That gives you a general formula. Let me calculate Antonio's first. Because this is an arithmetic series, I'm just going to use the formula for arithmetic series. This equals to UN equals to U1 plus n minus 1 d. UN, I don't know what this n is. This is a general term. I'm just going to leave it like that. U1 is the first term, which is 8,000 in this case, plus n minus 1 times the common difference. The common difference is 450. I'm going to distribute this. This will give me 8,000 plus 450 n minus 450. 8,000 minus 450 will give me 7,550, and this will just stay like that, 458. So this is the general salary for a general term for Antonio. For Barbara, I'm going to use the formula of a geometric series, which is U1 equals to U1 times r to the power of n minus 1. The first term is also the same for her, 8,000. The ratio is 1.05 and the power, no need to substitute anything for n, just leave it like that. Okay, last part. So for this, we have to, in total, they're going to work in this company for a total of 15 years. Calculate the total amount. Total means sum, Barbara, arithmetic series. It will be paid during these 15 years. That means the n is 15. Let me calculate the total amount for Barbara. For B, the sum of the first 15 terms. Sorry, for Barbara, it's not arithmetic series. Barbara is geometric series. My bad. Okay, geometric series. Straightforward. This equals to u of 1, which is 8,000. In bracket, I will have the ratio, which is 1.05 to the power of n. N is 15 minus 1. Remember, the power is just with this ratio, not with this one. Divided by 1.05 minus 1. Let me put it in the calculator. I will get something around 172629, but you have to write it in 3 significant figures. So I'm just going to take the first 3 numbers, 17, and I'm going to change this because the number after u is greater than 5. This is going to be 173, but then again, for this digits, you need to use zeros because this is not equal to 173 only. So that's for Barbara. Let's calculate the total sum for Antonio. S of 15 equals to, the sum of arithmetic series is n over 2, 2 times u1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. This equals to 15 over 2, in bracket 2 times the first term is 8,000. Sorry, this is 8,000 by the way. 2 times 8,000 plus n minus 1. N is 15 minus 1 and the common difference is 450. I'm going to close the bracket and I'm just going to calculate this thing. This will give me something around 167250, but again, I'm going to use 3 significant figures, so I'm just going to use 167. I will not change this number because the number after it is less than 5, and I'm going to substitute zeros for this digits. Okay, that's all for today.